Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm going to show you how I'm converting all of these kind of blank generic panels into the much more complex, a lot prettier, and much more complete 3-layer panels that we're putting in the modular design. First thing we do, we're going to delete some of these joints because we don't need them. The base is actually going to be called Common Panel Black. This is actually a black panel that we are going to create. This guy we're going to move up 1/8 of an inch, make sure that nothing's in there. That way we can make sure all the parts are different. And we're going to rename this. That's going to be the white layer. Then we're going to go in, grab the bodies, copy paste, move it vertically 1/8 of an inch. And now we can take this new body, create a new component, and call it transparent. This guy has a whole mix of stuff on it. There are a good mix of switches, rotating thingies, more rotating thingies, etc. So the first thing we're going to do is actually activate the canvas. This comes from the NATOPS manual on the F-18C version. This is actually the wrong version just because the oxygen is different, but that's the two differences. Oxygen, and we don't have a AMAX control. This is not in the DCS one, so we're not going to make it. The oxygen, I can literally just swap out that one panel, and it's very small difference. It just has a little hook instead of just that. This blueprint should work just fine. So as you can see on this one, this is a 20 position rotating knob. I'm probably gonna just use a rotary encoder. That'll give me all the positions I need, or all the rotating I need. These guys capture the position. These are actually going to turn it into 1/2 inch. All the switches are 1/2 inch or 15-30 seconds, which is just a smidgen shy of 1/2 inch. This rotating encoder is going to stay the same size. It's 0.071 times 2, so that's 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Now these are all the rotating encoders. We're going to make all those a little smaller in a second, but first off we're going to extrude all these down -1. That'll cut it out so it's the full size. And then we're going to address all the other ones. These are going to be 0.27. I'm going to double check, make sure that all my numbers are correct. That is 0.135, which translates to 0.27. The tolerance on these will work, but it's just a smidgen loose, so since a laser cutter can actually cut that, I'm going to design 2 spec and add in tolerances once I've done some experimenting. So we're going to design some exact size panels. And then we're going to go in, extrude -1. That'll work out well for us. Now when I hide the black panel, nope, not the black panel, the white panel, the very top one, we actually have 2 things we need to do. Well, 2 immediate things. One is to remove these holes because they're not in the right places. Not compared to where I would like them and where I've got the inserts. So we're actually going to essentially match drill those guys. So we're filling in these 1/4 inch. That won't over extrude. Then we're going to make some bigger circles, of which I forget the dimensions on. So we are going to go to the FCS panel has one. We're going to hide the white layer. And this is the circle I need, 0.338 times 2. And this is essentially going to be the place where the nut goes in so that we can actually capture these switches where they are. And back to the FCS panel, I have got this one, which is for the smaller one, which is 0.44. These guys need to be 0.44. Alright, now we're going to extrude all of those, but instead of going 1 inch, 3/8, etc., we're going to do 1/8 of an inch because it's only going to be in the center panel that we're going to nom into. 1/8 of an inch. Now we've got kind of a recess there that we can put a nut and we can tighten it down there. And then we show the comm panel. Now we don't have the layers, etc. So I'm going to save this and we're going to go into material real quick. Doesn't really matter if we do this now or later. But we're going to go into plastic, acrylic, put that in there, that in there, and that in there. And we're going to close it, hit A, or right click, appearance, which it won't let me show you right now, but then we're going to search for matte black. I'm going to make a plastic paint coat of matte black. That's going to be black. The transparent one, all but the bottom and the cutaway parts are going to be painted black, so it really doesn't help me to not make it black. So we are going to make transparent black as well, and then white we are going to do, where was it, plastic matte white, which is going to be the white panel. And then we're going to take this, then we're going to go to two faces, and we're going to take some of this matte black and we're going to put it on a ton of the faces. Lots of faces. Actually, the front's going to be matte black too, because when we extrude the text, that's going to extrude into white the same way that actually cutting it with a laser will do, which is kind of a neat feature. We're essentially just going to etch through the paint when we actually get the laser cutter. So the next step, now that we have essentially our switch positions and a lot of our dimensions, is to come in here and we're actually going to create some text, a whole lot of text. Okay, that's a good chunk of the text. We actually need to put in a couple of things before we can fix the hoopties. But we're going to do that in just a second. So we essentially have to go through every one of these and size and text them appropriately. All right. That was the -0.01 extrude. Now we have a whole bunch of text. Looks good. Now, I don't really like the shape of this thing. A whole lot of things probably need to change on this. The lines are just wrong. Then we're gonna make one lines up with both vertical and horizontal. We're gonna create a fillet. You're usually a quarter, about a quarter. And then we'll come over here. We're gonna do the same thing. Eat that. Okay, now we have a whole bunch of text. I like it. That's looking pretty good. Alright, let's hide the white layer. Make sure that we've got all of our cutouts, and we do. Let's show the white layer, and we're gonna grab some switches. So electronics. Oh boy, there's a lot of switches. I've got to check a whole bunch of these, so there's going to be a whole lot of cut in and outs because, well, actually, we'll just use DCS. That's my baseline for all of this anyways, so yeah. Go over to DCS, and I literally just need to click all the buttons. But these guys are pretty simple, self-explanatory. They're just rotators through 180. This is a guarded. That's a standard 3. Essentially when I'm... Oop, that's a different one. That's a weird one. I know what that is. We have one. Okay, so everything except for the crypto hold. The crypto hold is the only SPDT double momentary switch. Weird to say that, but just do a whole mouthful. Join this, and I need just the crypto one. So this is going to be a crypto, and I forgot to set my offset, and I'll show you why we're offsetting it downwards 0.1 in just a second. I don't know why, but I like to do my switches for some of the other stuff. So this is an SPDT on, off, on. So it's a momentary up and down, just like you saw on the sim. And we've got a whole lot of just on-offs and triple on, off, on. We're gonna put in all these guys. For whatever reason, this one's rotated in a strange orientation, but that's fine. This is an on-off on, so this is gonna be right next to it. We're gonna put you here, and I did the same thing. Well, I've got it. 0.1. And the next one is an on-off, not momentary. An SPST on-off. We're going full size on these bad boys. And then these are both 3 ticks, but they're not momentaries, so they get the vanillas, no momentaries, which is great because they're cheaper. Aha, got it on the last one. But I don't remember if I have the encoders modeled, but for now we're just gonna leave them like that. There's one more thing I want to look at, and that is the position of essentially all these screws. So there's 3 on this one, vertically evenly spaced. There's one right between the middle. All right, we'll start out with those. So C, we're gonna do some more drawing. First one is gonna go literally between these two. As a template, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do this, and that gives me all three references to get these visually nice. So these are 4mm screws, or sorry, 4mm holes. Come on, resolve. Then halfway up this, we're gonna do another 4mm, and one more. Are you not reading it because it's capital? Oh, that's dumb. I need 4mm. Must be lowercase apparently. Capital M is apparently megameter or something. This is working. And we've got a couple more screw holes to make. So there is one right between the ILS and that. We're gonna draw a line. Those aren't lined up with each other, so we're gonna put it there. We're gonna eyeball it, because that's basically how you're going to see it in the real world. Going to be how your eye perceives it. And we've got one basically in the triangle there and in the triangle there. So see here, 4mm, and we're going to extrude those all the way through, basically cut them so that. I'm essentially getting rid of all my reference lines because it makes it so I have to click a whole lot more. Move over, no reference there. All right, let's select them all for extrusion. -1. Now we've got a couple through holes. Perfect. And we're gonna go up to the cockpit hardware. We get some panhead screws, metric. These are the M4.7 by 15. So you join those. That's solid in there. Sticks out the bottom just enough, and copy paste. All right, now that all those are in there, they're gonna need some nuts. Alright, that's all the nuts, all the M4 screws. Once this comes back, then we are on to the essentially final step, and that is putting in all of the LEDs. So I'm only going to extrude that, an 1/8 of an inch cut. This is only going to be in the bottom panel, and it's going to get diffused through the translucent middle panel, or the opaque one, and then it's going to go through the white panel and be visible only on the parts that are etched. So that should make things very nice. But my computer is just dying resolving all this stuff. Alright, the holes have been cut. Save. Then we are gonna go, not hardware, but electronics again. And if you guys didn't see it, the 3mm green LED, and enter, just so that we don't have a whole bunch of stuff just shaded. We're gonna click on the top edge, click on the bottom edge, join it, and I do need the M4 screws so that I don't put LEDs in those holes. Then we can literally just copy pasta, do the same thing we did with, well, a chunk of the other stuff. I did mention there were a lot of them, right? There are going to be a huge number of LEDs on this one. Now if we add in all the panels, all the buttons, switches, etc., this is pretty close. So I do need to put in, I need to model and put in all the rotary encoders as well as all the knobs. And then the next thing we actually have to do is put this into the diagram and cut all of our 5mm holes. The left console plate we're going to make the canvas visible on. I'm going to go to the assembly, reload that, make this COM panel visible again because we just updated it. Now the COM panel's visible. Okay, we forgot something. We need to make sure it all stays together. Like a hole, any hole, one of these holes. Now that's visible. We're going to hide the white one and the transparent one. I'm going to say let's do this spot. Go the transparent one. Shoot. I'm going to do the bottom of the transparent, that hole, join it. Then we're going to join this top of that hole, that face, that hole. We'll make everything visible again. Back home. Nice and pretty. Go back to the assembly of the left console. Let's update that COM panel. We need to move the COM panel. Let's join that corner with that edge. We're gonna go from the top, get a look at where it's supposed to be, and we can align it. This needs to come up 0.1, 5, nope, 4, 3, 2, 2. And it needs to come slightly left. 5, 3, 1. Getting super precise here. That's good. Okay, from the top, we now need to disable the canvas, which is not on that one, but on the redesign left console, the plate. Let's hide the canvas. We're going to change the view, shade with edges. Okay, so now we're going to go on here. We're going to create some reference points and do some interaction. First thing I actually need is a 3-point circle right there. And then we're going to do one on the far side there. And then I do need one in the middle. Okay, from here to here, copy paste. That way it locks in and writes the coordinates. And from here to here, it writes the dimensions. And finally from corner to point 1. Now I'm gonna jot those down, and we can remove all of those because we don't need them once we've got the measurements. Back to the comm panel. Then we make it on here where it actually counts. Extrude in the noms direction, back to the assembly, do the good old refresh, and now all the circles line up. Let's hide the hidden edges, and she's looking pretty good. I like it. So now the one thing left, copy some of these M5 screws and screw it in. Alright, that's the new panel. That one was definitely a lot more complex than they normally are. There was so much more text, all the holes were wrong, there were some couple quirks. It was unique to say the least. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed seeing how I'm converting all these little panels to the more modern approach. It's a little different, it's kind of neat, but this gives me essentially a complete bill of materials for the whole thing. Then I can place one mass order of just nuts and chaos. That's going to be an expensive set of buttons, switches, and everything. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that, and we will see you guys in the next episode.